Hello, everybody, and Caramel Candid. I mean, sorry, hello, it's Ears to the East, and we are here to talk about a young new band who have just released their 5th single, and I am very hyped about it, and I've been pushing everyone into listening to it, and now we're going to hear and discuss what Neon thinks about it. Basically, yeah, Caramel Candid. I've been very much supporting this band since their first single came out, actually, and went to their first show, and they, to me, are just the quintessential example of what a new band should be. And just like Japanese unsigned bands and Japanese bands coming up, they're so good anyway. Like the bar is so high. There's so many great bands. But to me, Caramel Candid, the quintessential example of just a band who, both to my taste and both to my view of how you should go about doing things. Anyway, their new song came out. It's their title song. It's called Caramel Girls. It is quite a lot to take in. And the music video came out as well. And I think, so this was your first time hearing the song and seeing the music video all as one, right?
Yeah. So literally, I obviously, I got no early access, or anything like that from my friend. That wasn't the case. Just so I had to wait for the premiere like everybody else.
Like a plebe.
What's the point of being your friends if I don't get early access?
Yeah, you get pushed into doing stuff, but with zero benefit.
Zero benefit. I know, not a performing monkey. No, I really love this. I gotta admit, I said this to you just before we went live. I said this is by far my favorite of everything they've done so far.
Because you actually ultra sold on them from the previous songs, weren't you?
No, I liked what they do, and I thought they had potential. I just thought there was a little bit of they were like a diamond in the rough a little bit. Just needed a little bit of a polish, a little bit of a shine. And I saw the potential, but there was a few things I had a few tiny gripes with. And I said this to you the other day where I had a reaction. I said, look, there's some parts I really love. There's a few things I just can't. And this song that came out, like all the things that I sort of had gripe with sort of disappeared, and all the things that I liked and I was like, that has potential, they built on that. It got better, and I was like, yes. And this is always why, like, I'm quite an open person when it comes to music. Like my taste is very, very varied. We all know by now that my preferences is metal and rock and stuff like that.
I was about to say something about the t-shirt logo and the flag behind you and the black guitar and the hat as well. It's like, I can really tell how much you're into jazz.
Yes, it's all about the jazz, man. The blues.
Most fun I've had in weeks. Anyway,
thank you very much.
Mate, where Elvis isn't jazz. Anyway, move on quickly.
Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed it. I liked the chaotic nature of this song. I gotta say, like, Otto really stood out for me for this one. I loved her an awful lot. Where she has that sense of like the idle sweetness, but what I really liked about this song is she had that like chaotic nature to her as well, and she kept going kind of like a backwards and forwards. It was like having two singers and or somebody with like a split personality, like the way she came back with some forwards. But it felt so natural as well. Like it didn't feel forced. It was just really good. I really liked that. I said this to you before, so I had like a few issues with the voice, like when she leaned too far into her cutesy in other songs. And I know me and you had this debate.
She has a very subjective. I mean, I will say this off the bat. Hers is one of those voices you're either going to love it or hate it, and maybe somewhere in the middle. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, for me, I think her voice is like the best thing since sliced bread, probably even before that. But yeah. So I first of all, I do totally accept that.
Yeah. I was really sold. There was a couple of things she did, a few techniques, like I said, we were talking about the vibrato, and I was like, that's not 100% for me. And then with this song,
in previous songs,
in previous songs, but with this song, like she really nailed that. Like it felt strong with purpose. And it was almost like a confidence thing, I think, a little bit. She it felt like all the girls were really confident in the song, from the music video and the music itself. And I just vibed off it, to be honest. Look, I really enjoyed it. It was a step up. This was the song for me that made me kind of like really sit up and kind of take notice and go, there's the potential.
Oh,
That's
that's
what I
actually
thought they
really
could.
good. Yeah.
That's what I thought they could do. Like for me personally, a step in the right direction. Now, obviously, I know maybe for other people that might be a step backwards. Maybe I don't know, but I personally I loved it, and for me
Well,
there was a great
just
great thing.
quick, there's a couple of points I really want to get on there. One of them being the actual what the song's about, and I will get onto that. But
Yeah.
one of the things I wanted to say first of all, because you mentioned about how for some people it might be a step backwards. I thought this was a really brave choice of song anyway, from the very first time I heard it, because of the fact that structurally, and this is I know this is the boring thing, but for me as someone who's into writing, structurally this song's just brilliant. It's like there's not really a chorus, there's not really verses. It's just kind of this like through flow of just thoughts, and it goes, yeah, in the middle it breaks into like a little bit of a happy diversion, and then sort of twists back around. There's like the angry bits where you can hear her talking in her head, and then the calm bits like at the end. It's just this idea that the song isn't so much taking you through an arrangement in the conventional sense, but it's that it's leading you through her thoughts to the final conclusion. um
I actually touched.
and
Sorry to get sorry to
mm,
butt in. And I said I actually touched on that on my reaction, my review. I actually said during the end, said the song's really really good. I said the amount of stuff that's in here. I said the song is not tedious at all. I said there's always something going on. There's always
yeah.
something going. I said it's really entertaining from a songwriting perspective. And I said that was one of my points I actually pointed out. So I'm glad you're saying that, sir, because it makes me feel validated, like I actually know what I'm saying. So
Well, I I don't know how much I'm allowed to say about this, so I'll keep this fairly simple. So I had no involvement in the creation of the song. I should point out this was a song where I talked to them a lot at the time, but I had no involvement in the creation of this song, even though I'm working on stuff like a different thing with them. But the reason I wanted to quickly point out is that with the with this song, well, with a couple of the songs, they have been wanting to look at doing songs in English. And so, without going into too much detail, there was reason for me to be having a lengthy session of going through the lyrics of this song with them. And you probably guess where I'm going with this, but I'm not sure I'm actually allowed to say it. So the thing is that in regards to this song, I mean, all of their songs are very interesting lyrically. And I remember the very first time I sat down and had a chat with Otto, like really before we like started getting on properly. Um, one of the first things I asked her about was, what's Virus Buster about? Because we heard so many people like talking about Buster, 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 and some people were saying it sounds like bastard, bastard, bastard. And so I asked her what it's about, and then she explained it, and it was like this. I was like, "Wow, that's actually really interesting." And then I sat down and went through the lyrics. Like, okay, that's really cool. And all of the songs, like 20 Carnations, is a really beautiful song about like growing up and like suddenly realizing what it means to transition from being a child into an adult, like your parent, maybe a parent who you don't get good communication with. And like all of their songs are interesting, but Caramel Girls is probably the one which is most about what they are as people. And I think it opens this door into this area that we don't talk about enough. Now, my understanding is that it was originally grew out of some diary notes that she wrote, and then she started forming them into a song. Again, probably would explain why the song plays more like a flow of consciousness than an arrangement. But the intriguing thing is that here, what she's talking about, she goes through a lot of subjects, but she's basically using like kind of a well-known metaphor, candy, sweetness, all this kind of stuff. Caramel is being used as a metaphor for both, something nice, but also something addictive and bad, something which is kind of like nice and gooey, but at the same time is sticky. It's kind of like this kind of juxtaposition. But what she's really getting at is she's getting at what it basically means to be in a girls' rock band. And partly why she formed band. So like there's a little bit in there, one of those bits where she's kind of shouting at the microphone is a bit where she actually says something along the lines of, hey, people only like girls bands because they're girls, right? And that's kind of like one of the things she's actually saying. And like so she's saying things like that, and it's like She makes a pretty open line about how
So basically, she just insulted mine and your entire Discord.
well, there is a line in there where she also says something about how she doesn't want to hear from reviewers who never achieved anything in their own lives either. I was like, damn. And I called her out about that line to her face, and I think she kind of like the truth is that I know what she was getting at. She's talking about like print. She's talking about like printed media.
Yeah, she's talking about more
yeah.
like critics and like journalists and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Just the word she actually used was like reviewer in the sense you'd use it if you're not a YouTuber. But it was just I was laughing about it, and then there's even a line about sort of like just loads of guys who are always in the same crinkled jeans. I was like, Otto, is this song about me?
It's a song about me. Yeah.
Like, but no, she put a lot of very honest things in there, and although it's maybe the way I'm portraying it makes it sound like it's a really negative song, but it's not. It's just kind of like this thing about like when you try to be different, often the people who tell you to get back in your lane are the ones who are the most curiously boring, and it's like there's clearly this through line of jealousy. And then she does do one line. I won't quote it for fear of getting it wrong, but she does one line which very, very interestingly uses a metaphor to talk about how girls have to have a period every month and how that's not exactly much fun. It's like this song has got some pretty heartfelt stuff in there. So yeah,
I love it though. I particularly
yeah.
like what you said there, especially about like fans and girl bands and stuff like that, because you know, let's be honest, there is a bit of a stigma between like we've all seen many female bands and we've seen the the audience retention of who turns up to the shows and stuff like that. So yeah, I kind of get that. It's kind of like a meta way of saying, look, I want to be a little bit different, but you know, whilst calling out these other bands who are just maybe towing the line a little bit. I like that. It's a bit rebellious, but
I don't think that like if you go to like a Japanese girls band show in Japan, yeah, there's always more guys. But I always think that that extra amount of guys are just free ticket payers you've got anyway, so it's a good thing. But ultimately, there is always a bit of a mix. But I think one of the interesting things is we were discussing this, and I think Caramel Candid has the rather unique quality of being a girls band that actually seems to be directed with songs for women. It's not just like, oh, here's a little romantic song because girls like romance. It's like, no, here's actually some songs about women, about being a woman, and at the same time it's not that kind of like I'm gonna tread on some toes here. It's not that kind of Western style of like, oh men are so terrible, and it's like, oh, men are evil and we're being oppressed. It's not like that. It's like it's just genuine stuff about this is what it's like to be a woman, this is what it feels like to be in a girls band. It's like, why do I have, it's like I want to be cute, but then I don't want to be cute when you tell me I have to be cute, and it's that kind of thing.
So I'm not gonna stick the song on a Google translator and it's gonna come out, I'm a strong independent woman.
So the song's name actually translates to girl boss.
Oh.
Strong independent female singer Otto and her new band the Girl Bosses. No, it's that's the thing. It's like a lot of the time when you talk about this sort of thing, I think obviously there's a lot of great content like that in the West as well, but we kind of got beaten down by the idea of like everything has to be identity. And I just feel this song isn't about identity. It's just about well, it's more about like, why are you projecting an identity on me? Actually, if anything, she's just like, I just want to be me, and it's like, why are you telling me I have to be?
Why do I have to be this or do this? Like, I just want to do what I want to do. Yeah, I like that.
Oh, this is our new tagline. I don't know if this is a good angle to approach. We say this song is the Japanese cure to identity politics.
So
and down the rabbit hole we go.
And that's another episode for another day.
Oh god, but yeah, no, I love how raw and honest and personal it is, but at the same time, it's the music is there.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, there's always that perception. I feel like, especially with these kind of lyrics, I feel like you have to be maybe slightly careful because I don't know what it's like in Japan. Maybe you can enlighten me a little bit more about what the feeling is around there. But as you know from the West, if you're into Japanese music, and I know probably lots of people probably watching this, like let me know in the comments, but Like,
No, we hate it.
no, but like if you ever tried to show your a friend or whatever a Japanese band and stuff like that, and the first thing you usually get is, "Oh, you weeb," or "Oh,
I can
the
imagine.
little girls." There's always that little bit of a like preconception of like if you like Japanese music and stuff like that. So there's always like obviously the small percentage, the 1% that take it too
But
far and are a little bit creepy. But yeah,
do you know? I mean, I would just say though, you tell me if I'm wrong here, because I want to kind of like play this game on that field first of
yeah,
all,
go on.
and ask you about in the West. So, like, okay, so I get that, and I totally understand. Some people who probably like take one look at Japanese music and go, "Oh, that's creepy," because they don't understand it and they just see it on face value. But I've never heard of anyone in the West say, "Oh, you're into K-pop. Oh, you're just into girls like shaking their butts in synchronized dancing," which would be an equally narrow view of that. But you could potentially speaking just narrow it down to that as well. Oh, you just like to see pretty girls shaking their butts. It's interesting because
I do like to see pretty girls
people,
shaking their butts though.
well, don't we all? But but I mean, the point, it's interesting how if you like something innocent, that is somehow more, or something that has an innocent value to it, that is somehow is more suspicious. Maybe it's because it's seen as having like a cloak and dagger approach. Because at least if you're looking at people shaking their butts, it's pretty clear why you're there. Whereas if you're looking at people in like maid outfits or something, then maybe they think that there's some sort of like something underneath there's some hidden thing to it. But
I've had a few
yeah, I don't
heated
know.
arguments about like again going back to like Sakura Gakuin West. I feel like the
Yeah,
perception is you try to introduce that to like anybody in the West, and it's really fucking hard to do because you just don't want to know. And I got to admit, when obviously like I started doing my channel originally, and I started getting Sakura Gakuin requests, even I was a bit like, oh, this seems a bit weird. And
yeah.
that was because of I said like that my own preconceived notion and stuff like that, because I hadn't been in that world before. I hadn't dipped my toes in yet. And it wasn't until I actually ended up watching it and giving it a long chance after seeing all the shows that you realize like the meaning behind it and the emotional investment and the feel good nature of it. And that was something truly unique to me because, like I said, we don't really get that in the West. It's all horrible here. So to find something like truly just like heartwarming a little bit was really nice.
Well, I think that is one of those areas where, like with the Sakura Gakuin thing, you're kind of stepping out. I mean, I've said this before, and I've had conversations with people who've recommended Sakura Gakuin and people who are Sakura Gakuin fans. I don't look at Sakura Gakuin as being a musical artist. I look at it more as it's an interesting musical project which occasionally releases songs. I mean, I know it's over now, but that's the thing. It's like, oh, it's not like, oh, I'm going to go put on a Sakura Gakuin CD. It's more like, oh, let's check out Sakura Gakuin and see who's coming through the ranks, and let's see, oh, look at the training thing. It feels more like that to me. Was
Speak for
the
yourself. I would
purpose.
totally put on a Sakura Gakuin CD. They got some bangers, man.
Really? Okay. They do. Actually, that is true. That is, but it's not, that's not the way that I would look at it. It's just, although I might would. But I mean, I had a similar thing when so I think I mentioned this. I was in Japan when Scandal debuted.
Hmm.
And I remember
Fuck,
seeing
you're
like the
old.
posters and adverts. Yeah, I am. Uh, I remember seeing the posters and the adverts and just kind of being like, bunch of girls in school uniforms. It's not for me. And so I kind of like just
Yeah.
bypassed it. And yeah, band-maid, when band-maid first came out, it's like that was something where I kind of knew about it, but it's not that I didn't have quite the same approach, because band-maid made a bit more sense as a joke to me. Like it was a humorous
Yeah.
playoff between being a band.
Is
But I was
is
just
that
not
not like
immediately
because
drawn
is
to it.
that just because like your perception's changing over time? Like I said, like when I
Yeah,
first
yeah.
started, I not closed off, but I was really skeptical about it. Like, if somebody recommended me a band who's like, I don't know, dressed in Mr. Blobby outfits or something like that, and I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, let's watch this." I wouldn't
I'm pretty
even think.
fearful of the sound.
Yeah, I wouldn't even think twice about it now. I'd just be like, "Hell yeah, let's go."
So when does Blobby Metal come out?
I don't know. I don't know. So maybe me
But
and you could do that for our song in Japan. We'll run around Japan in blobby outfits.
that's actually got to be a thing we do. But like, so if you can bring them over,
We have to find that one warehouse where everybody plays though. Like every
Oh
band.
no, I know that's R17 in Saitama. I know
Yeah,
it.
there you go. We
We
probably
can
won't be
get that.
allowed
We
in,
can.
so we'll have to stand outside. But it's
No,
still
it's
packed.
on non-booked days. It's a go-kart track.
All right, sweet. So we'll just stand in the middle then with like two
We should
guitars.
do that. When you get here, we should totally go go-karting at R17. We
Yes.
got to do that. So we went to that famous like music video location and we went go-karting. Yeah, we totally doing that. All right, anyway, so but yeah, no, wait, I forgot what you were talking about. Oh shit.
Perception of
Oh yeah.
bands
Yeah,
and
yeah. So when it came to Scandal, yes, it was just that I was closed-minded at the time because I felt weird looking at a band who were in school uniforms. It felt weird to me. By the time it got to Band-Maid, when they debuted, it wasn't so much close. I was more open-minded then. It's just that I just wasn't initially drawn to it. I still wasn't able to get excited about that kind of thing because it still felt like a gimmick in a way that it didn't draw me in. Although I could understand 100% why it drew everyone else in. And then, just it took a little bit of time. I went from I don't know, I don't really want to see things like that to the, oh, okay, that's actually kind of, okay, that's all right. To then you know what, actually, I understand now why this is awesome. It took me a few years, but
yeah.
then again, I transitioned from working really heavily in in the West. And so, I kind of had preconceptions about bands who went on stage in outfits because in the West, 9 out of 10 of them, they go on stage in fancy outfits. It means they're pretentious, arrogant dicks. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Whereas in Japan, it just means they've really thought about their image and they wanted to do something fun. But yeah, so for me, Caramel Candid, like everything, the made outfits, the image, they put it together themselves, the logo, it's all them. They curate it all.
I love
And
it.
you can, of course, get yourself some awesome Caramel Candid merch available.
There you go. There
If
you
you'd like
go.
to buy some.
There you go. I think I got a shout
Caramel
out.
Candid merch.
Oh, there you go. He's just on for this. You are shameless.
Hey, well. Remember as well, there's shows coming up as well. Feel free to get your ticket for the next show. It's always a good idea. Wait a second. I've just realised something. Oh,
Well, what have you just realised?
I've got 2 tickets for the same show. Okay. That was an error. That was a mistake. I accidentally bought 2 tickets for the same show.
Oh, there you go.
Both in my name, so I'm gonna have to bring someone else along and get them to pretend that they have the same name as me. So it's just coincidence, all us white people are called Howard Billington. So if you go to England, it's like really difficult to book into anything because everyone's called Howard Billington.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry, the missus. Then I'm still listening.
no, that's all right. We could hear her. We could hear her from Japan. It's fine.
Trust me. I know. Jesus.
I'm just waiting for an arm to come in from the side and just like decapitate the shit out of you.
I know.
So in all honesty though, I think like with the Caramel Candid thing, all of their songs are different. They've all had a different take. Because it's not the sort of music that I wouldn't, because you've got a very wide taste in music, but it's not the sort of music where I can think of any comparisons of things that I would imagine you liking the same. Because I'm trying to think of any bands you like who are in that kind of area. But what I love is, again, because they mix so many things together in a lot of their songs, and their songs are so different, it's really hard to pin down what they're similar to. And I love that. I love that.
I said the same thing again during the reaction. I was kind of like, I said, I don't really kind of know what genre this is. So for me, I kind of compare like on the spot, obviously the pressure of doing like reactions on the spot. I turned around and said it has this kind of like rocky, even almost punk feeling to this one. It's a little bit chaotic. And I was like it's always weird because like when you do the reactions, I try to do mine all in one take, as you know, so it's as genuine as possible. But sometimes the downside of doing everything in one take and not being able to edit what I say afterwards is sometimes like you say something, and then you post it and you're like, everybody in the chat will be like, no, that's wrong.
I'm really frightened what it is you're covering yourself for right now.
Nothing.
What did he say?
Yeah. What I really like about the song as well is like I feel like the girls all really stepped up on this one. I found myself really enjoying. Is it Moko, the drummer?
Moko, yeah.
Moko. that's the English coming out of me. Got to say Mo. I can't say more.
Moko. No, I
Moko,
like
yeah.
it. I get so when we see her next. So when you come here and we see them, I'll call her Moko, and you go, "Hello, Moko."
Moko.
And Oto.
This is when I have to like grow the mustache and start twirling
Mabo.
it. Oh yes, Moko.
Call Mabo. Call her Mabo.
Mabo. Hello, Mabo.
Mabo. It's like Caramel Candy will just slap Neon. Like four hands all at the same time.
But yeah, I really enjoyed her drumming for this one. I thought it really stood out. Like the other songs that I listened to, I felt like she was good, but I feel like she wasn't like really like expressing it a little bit. It just felt like she was like just holding the song
That's
together.
interesting. I must admit that her beats as a general, I mean, so for example, in the song Short Story, which I think up to this point is the most popular one, it's okay, second most popular. But anyway, it's got a very, it uses the same rhythm throughout, but she changes like what parts of the drum kit she plays that rhythm on. And I felt the whole way she did that was really expressive. So actually, I got this, I've really liked her drumming before, but certainly in this one, like there was some killer fills in this.
Maybe I'll revert that and say that this one felt more noticeable then. Like this one stood out a bit more.
Stood out a lot in this,
and I did like it for this one. I kept really enjoying the drumming. It's just tied along with
Moko.
Moko. That'll be me at the front of a Caramel Candid. Moko.
Do it in that voice. Just like between the songs where in like a Japanese life houses, people tend to be very polite and there's quietness. So just go quiet and you go, Moko, Moko.
At least that way she'll know it's me.
We're gonna have like a Moko fan club. I'm calling it now. So we're gonna have a Moko fan club led by Neil. Moko.
God's sake. Please tell me the girls don't watch these videos.
I'm gonna make them watch it. I'm gonna give them a timestamp and everything.
But yeah, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna make sure they're recording one video, wait until the crowd's quiet, and then oh, anyway, I'm sorry.
It is true. Actually,
I'm sorry, Moko.
A lot of the unsigned bands I've worked with, of which there's so many amazing ones, but it's really interesting how very often, although maybe not the creative leader, the drummer is usually actually the leader in most practical senses. And I would say like, so Otto definitely takes the lead on a lot of the songwriting. Saya's like just very sort of like, she creates in her own bubble very much. Mabel does like incredibly artistic stuff, but Moko is the boss. All right. I'd say they might not say this, but I'd say every time you go into there, like the rest of the band, they're always looking at her for cues. And like when you're just after the show and like the bands are walking around and the merch tables are out, it's like I always notice how like Moko walks very purposefully around the room and she walks up to people directly and just like engages them straight on. It's like, damn. she's your business person there.
Moko is the boss.
Yes, boss Moko.
The boss lady. I'm gonna start calling her Moko now because now I feel like I'm taking the piss. But no, I thought her and same as Mabo on the bass. Mabo. Yeah, I thought they really stepped up in this song, like all of them. West with the previous ones, I wouldn't like I said, maybe not like so much expressionist, but I felt more purpose on here. I felt like they stood out a little bit more. Found myself really listening to the bass line and like quite a lot more here, and the drumming here for this song I thought was superb. I really enjoyed it, as well as Otto's just kind of like crazy brilliance as well. I got to admit I really enjoyed Otto here for someone who, admittedly, like I said in some of the other songs, I've been a bit 50-50 with, because there's some things like again I absolutely love about her, and some things I'm like not crazy into. But she really nailed it for me for this song, like you know, head over heels in love here. I just loved everything about it. Like I said, the craziness, the cuteness, the spunkiness, the chaotic nature of the way she was singing and stuff. Like, yeah, no, that really resonated with me. And I was like, you know what? I was just hell yeah. I got no complaints about this one. I just really enjoyed it.
No,
which is
no, that is really nice to hear though. And you know, I mean, yeah, I think it's like it's such a big like struggle a lot of the time to like overcome those things. There's going to be a lot of subjective taste anyway. I mean, the one thing I want to throw in as well, because I think because like Otto's voice is like really it's going to be a subjective thing.
mm.
Mabo is an incredible bassist, and obviously we've got Moko's drum work has been incredible as well. But I think often
Sorry.
fan club. I think that like Saya's guitar work gets like overlooked a little bit because of the fact that she's just so she kind of like just exists in this, like I say, in this little bubble. But I found whenever I get a Caramel Candid song stuck in my head, it's almost always one of her guitar lines that's stuck in my head. I think she's got this incredible way. She's not doing like all these big blast out solos and stuff. What she's doing is she's so good at
Mm.
interpreting what the rest of the band's playing and then layering these like little guitar lines and harmonies over the top, which are just brilliant.
I think he nailed that, to be honest. Like, probably really unappreciated. For all the people that really stood out for the song for me, probably her is probably the least. But I wouldn't say that's because she was worse than the other ones. I just feel like it's because the other ones were way more noticeable than her in this song.
Yeah, she's very
Um,
effortless. You don't
yeah.
notice what she's doing, and yet it's so pivotal.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, if you took her out that song, like it would just fall apart. But
It,
maybe,
it would lose a lot of depth, I think.
yeah. And I really enjoyed that one. And I was doing this when me and you started recording as well. I was already humming the song as we were
Da,
going into it.
da,
So
da, da,
it's
da, da,
so
da.
good.
Do you know the funny here's the bad thing, right? Which is that like whenever I want to hum along to this song, I start singing the English lyrics. And they don't sound so good coming out of me. Just gonna put it that way. Just gonna say it's kind of funny because like one of the bits where it's like the bit where she's like shouting like it's funny because like we were talking about how to say that in English
Mm.
and like it's really hard to say in English that bit like for her because she's only learning English at the moment.
Yeah.
She can't speak fluently or anything. And so there's just this like really funny scene where we're both walking down the street next to each other, just like shouting this line at each other.
Mm.
And like the guy, the A&R guy is just walking in front laughing, like, what the hell is going on? And we're both like, shout.
I'm glad as well to hear that they're taking an interest in English and maybe doing a song or something in English. I would like to think that it's not going to be like too much of a mainstay. Like I know me like most people, I feel like I might be wrong on this one. Let me know in the comments. But I quite like listening to Japanese songs because they're in Japanese. Like, you know. So, but I also do appreciate a little bit of in English. We've seen a rise in popularity with a lot of songs at the minute doing English ones. So obviously look at band-maid at the minute that are tapping into that a little bit more. Atarashi Gakko as well, maybe not as prominently, but they're tapping into that market. And the thing
Love
with
Bites
being
have been trying really hard for a while.
Love bites have been doing it. So I feel like if you want to grow internationally as well, which sounds really weird for like an underground Japanese band a little bit, but to be thinking about that so early and like that can only be a good thing, I think, to raise your popularity and get more of an outside following.
Given that they're not they can get a few people into a live house, but given that they can't quite pack out a live house yet, their online presence is small, but is much bigger than you'd usually expect for a band of that scale.
Yeah.
Which is great. I should say though, by the way, that the English language versions of the songs, I know that they consulted with someone who has a lot of experience in disliking English language translations. And I know for a fact that this person took a lot of time and effort to make sure that the lyrics were translated in a way that would make them sound really spot on, would get the meaning across, and also sound natural rather than forced. And I'm glad that this person was there to make sure the songs were respected as much as they should be. So yeah, I can tell you that a really good version of Virus Buster in English has already been recorded, and a really good English language version of the song that you just heard today, Caramel Candid's Caramel Girls, is also going to be recorded sometime in the next few months.
Oh,
And
nice. I actually look forward to that. I'd be really excited to hear Caramel Girls actually in English, so that'd be good.
when you hear it, it's like, unless you read the translation first of all, when you hear it for the first time, you're going to be like, damn.
Well, just off of
Ah!
everything that you were saying today, that's in there. I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of excited to hear the English version.
Funny thing is that the one thing that doesn't come across properly is that the real genius of her lyrics is the fact that it's all hidden behind this kind of cute metaphor, but it's really starkly hidden. It's like it's hidden in a way where it's like, you know, it's like a sort of a sarcastic joke. It's like everyone knows what's going on, but the point is that no one's supposed to acknowledge it. Yeah, and that's kind of the thing is that like the lyrics, like she's using really like deliberately very coarse metaphors, but in using the metaphors, she doesn't actually say many offensive things. And when
Mm.
she does have the little bursts, they're like done in like spoken bits, which therefore is kind of like, oh, well, this is just a thought. It's not really what I'm saying. And I love that. It's kind of like the song is like it's always dodging bullets, and yet at the same time she's conveying these really good messages, but like doing them in these really clever little side steps. So I love it. I should point out, by the way, if you want to do check out under the Caramel Girls video in the description box, she's put a lot of notes in Japanese, unfortunately, but you can translate them, notes about her thoughts leading up to writing the song. But then as well, she's actually put the English language version of the song that this wonderful gentleman so kindly. Anyway, there's an English language version of the song in the lyrics are in the description below the song, so you might want to go read them and find out for yourself.
There you go. There you go. Plenty to go and follow along there.
Oh man, but yeah, please, please, please. I'm gonna. If you've been watching this video this far anyway, you're probably on board anyway. But I would just say, please, the things that are most important to me, and I'm sure them, go spread the word about this band to, I'm not expecting you to spam people, just anyone who thinks into interesting music or anything, just try and get them out there. Because like I say, whether you're big into the band or not, for me, this band represents the kind of thing that we want to put on a pedestal. We want to put bands who like make all their own stuff, who are creative, who are talking about honest things, but doing it in an interesting way, who are writing songs that are different rather than churning out stuff that they think will be popular. We want to put that kind of band on a pedestal, sort of bands who make the stuff for their shows, will make the images for their shows, the artistic direction, will do music videos. We want to push that kind of band. And so if nothing else, push them off the precedent that's the precedent they'll set, is like good, honest music with really creative, bizarre, fun ideas thrown in, like everything you could want. And the best way to do that, share their music, subscribe to Caramel Candid as well as this channel. And most of all, if you do send comments, like please send them encouraging comments. Remember, they're a very young band. And if you can send them encouraging comments under their YouTube videos, they almost always reply. And I know that they love them. They like run them through Google Translate. Google Translate and DeepL, whichever one they got open at the time. And then they will get back to you in some way. So please, please, please do just be a fan now rather than when they've got 100,000 subscribers and you can't get a ticket. Become a fan early.
Exactly.
Get ahead of the train.
Exactly. And all the help that you give, obviously supporting the band, by extension, obviously helping Howard as well. He's been working hard behind the scenes. So, by extension,
they will put me in an old people's home when they get to the point. Caramel Candid will look after me.
Exactly, exactly. So obviously really important to him, really important to us, both of us, and yeah, we really appreciate all the support to help push these out as much as possible, in a nice, dignified way, if that's okay.
Dignity is what we're about, Neon.
Yeah,
and I
exactly.
believe our subscribers are as well. Oh, we're fun.
Can't say that with a straight face.
Oh, we got 35 wonderful seconds on the free version of Zoom.
We're not babies.
There we go. So all we got left to say, like and subscribe to this channel. Go support Caramel Candid. Support your favorite upcoming bands as well. And most importantly, more than anything else,
Stay metal.
why golf?
Why golf? I was going to say that as well before. I was literally going to shout that out at the end of the video.
Keep your ears to the east.
You stole my catchphrase. Get your arms.